Okay, welcome back to the Apocalypse Podcast. My name is Kyle. I am one co-host, and my other co-host is my brother. Say hi, Taylor.
Hi, I'm Taylor, and I am co-hosting.
There it is.
Really good.
So today we're gonna bring back one of our first episodes where we talk about a video game that one of us has played and really likes, and the other one has not played. I don't have high hopes for this format, but
Okay, honestly,
I think it'll be fine. This will give me, I guess, just like a platform to talk about how much I love this game, which now I just realized is probably why, despite it like maybe feeling a little weird to just sort of talk at the other person about this game, it's like, you get to kind of hold this game up that you really like and just cherish it for a little bit.
And the best part is the other person doesn't have any experience, so your the story you're telling me is the objective truth, because I can't be like, that's not my experience when I played. It's like,
yeah.
I can't argue.
That's true. So the game in question today we're talking about is HELLDIVERS 2. I kind of wish my buddy Ryan was here to talk about it too, because
Hell is so nice they dived it twice. Thank you. I'll be here all week.
So Ryan started playing this game somewhat recently, even though it's been out for, actually, has it only been out for 1 year? Shit.
I think it was. I'll look this up while you are.
No, it was February 2024, so it's been out only a little over a year. Okay, so anyways, Ryan started playing it like way late. Basically he started playing it just a couple months ago. Which is funny because the game is like super good and has been good for a really long time. And then he just started getting into it, was sharing with me all these memes that I had already been seeing and like laughing at for months. But
so Ryan should really just be deeply ashamed of the type of person he is. Okay.
Yeah. So HELLDIVERS 2, for everyone who doesn't know what it is, it's a cooperative game, player versus environment, PvE, where it means you just kill, AI powered computer stuff. You're not actually killing other people. Basically you have a character, you pick a planet to go onto, and you have a mission, and on the planet you will fight one of three enemy types. There's Terminids, which are giant bugs, like in Starship Troopers. There's automatons, which are like Terminator-style robots. And then there's the Illuminate, which is a new faction where they are aliens and have almost like zombie mind-controlled, massive, swarms of like super easy-to-kill things. So it's a third-person shooter. You launch onto planets, you do a mission, and you fight these things and try to complete your mission, and then you launch back off the planet and go back to your home base, which is your mothership or your warship. And that's kind of the whole sequence of the game, is you launch down, you fight these enemies, and you pick up currencies and shit to like upgrade your stuff. You get meta upgrades, which mean like you get upgrades that affect you between the missions and are permanent, like making certain guns better or whatever. And then you just rinse and repeat. And it sounds like a very simple gameplay loop that might get boring, but the developers of the game do a lot to keep things fresh.
Holy shit. I did not realize. Do you know what your playtime is in HELLDIVERS 2?
No.
I want you to guess.
Much. It's actually not that much. I think it's like 120 hours.
Oh my god. You say like, oh yeah, just 120 hours. Like I guess I'm just a newbie. I just assumed you played a lot. Well, it is 127. You played a lot more of this than I assumed you had. And I'm looking at like all of your games played as like, it's in your top 10 of all Steam games.
Yeah, I mean, my actual top games, which is just like Apex Legends, so far overshadows everything else. I have like thousands of hours in that, and then the next one is Eternal, probably with like 600 hours, and then it's
Path at 2300, Apex 21, then Eternal at 697. So there's a third of it.
Very steep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find games that I really like and I just play them forever. That's just how it goes. So, HELLDIVERS 2, it's It's just good. And
Okay.
that's all I have to say about it.
So first off, I had it backwards. I thought the robots were the new faction. It was the aliens.
Yeah, the Illuminate.
So let me ask you. So one thing that I do love about Helldivers 2, and I know we had just talked pre-podding of all the things that don't appeal to me. But what I think is really fun in Helldivers 2 is the clear satirical, like, calling it Super Earth and like the clear, this is all propaganda. Like they're just leaning into being, and I know that being fascist is actually very cool now apparently, but at the time of release, it was fun to make fun of that type of stuff. And I find it, having a sense of humor about all of it and like reveling in the absurdity of the scenarios and like the meaninglessness of your individual character and stuff. Like I find did that carry into the actual gameplay, or is that more in like the menus? Oh, really?
No.
Okay.
So that's something that, that's a great thing to bring up. The sort of lore of the game is that you are a hell diver, right? Like you are a soldier who's been trained specifically to do this, and you dive into quote unquote hell, which is, I think the lore reasons is you're diving on these planets is usually there's like, the developers themselves have somebody that's like they call a dungeon master, where he kind of controls the overall narrative of the gameplay in real time. And so what he'll do is he'll like mark planets that are being overtaken by the Terminids. And so then your gameplay like might shift over to this planet where like, oh, if we fail to defend this planet, then it'll be overtaken by the Terminids, and then they'll move on to a closer planet. And like the whole menu of the game basically is like you're looking at sort of a solar system galactic map from a bird's eye view. Super Earth, they call it Super Earth, is in the middle, and you're basically, this whole time we've been trying to defend Super Earth and keep Super Earth from being attacked directly. So then, if Super Earth is in the middle of this radial kind of menu, all these planets are surrounding you in this galactic map, and you can pick all these different planets that either have Terminids or automatons or the Illuminate fighting on them. And all the planets are in a constant war of like push and pull of, are the Terminids taking over? Are the automatons taking over here? And so the dungeon master will be like, all right, this planet is being taken over by Terminids, and sort of everyone will go to that planet, and there will be a bar that you got to fill up and like fight back to make the Terminids lose, and then you clear the planet and it's safe for now until they attack again. And so there's sort of a structure there to give you purpose instead of just aimlessly picking a random planet. There's reasons to go to specific planets. And I forget why I was saying all this. You were talking about the satirical nature of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, you are a helldiver, and when you go on these planets, whether you're solo or whether you're playing with up to 3 other people, I think it's 4-player co-op. I don't know why I said I think it is. You have a certain amount of lives among your team, which is another reason why this game is so fun, is because you can die, and it is a punishment. You lose a life, much like, classic old Mario style games. You lose a life as a team, but you have many tries. And so when you drop on a planet, you'll have like 15 lives as the team. And when your character dies, somebody else has to call you in a drop pod, right? Like you have to, I'll get to this too. They're called stratagems, but it's basically you open up this menu and you input the sequence of keys. So in real time, like while running away from bugs and shit trying to kill you, you have to find a moment to open this menu and quickly input, it's kind of like a quick time event. You got to hit like up, down, left, right to get your teammate to come back. And then you throw this stratagem and you get called back down in a pod. And then that's basically you respawning if you die. So like when you die, you start watching your teammates, you're spectating them, and they have to find a time to like get you back into the fight. However, the fun part about this game is that you aren't respawning. You are a new soldier that's being launched into the battle. So like when your character dies, that's actually that in-game character being dead forever. So like the whole gimmick is that like there's just hundreds of thousands of Helldiver soldiers that are completely disposable. But because of, it's like being fascist and almost communist and whatever, it's like you love to fight and die for Super Earth. So if you land on a planet and instantly die, oh well, just call in another Helldiver that's willing to do the exact same thing. And like that's kind of the gimmick of the game system, is that, like, you know, it's just a fun little lore tie-in of why you get to respawn. It's like, you're not actually a hero here. Your character just died right there. You're just now a new Helldiver that gets to come in and fight.
So this is a really dumb question. Does the game present to you, like, so obviously you're not always like, the game is like, you're in a menu, then you like kind of queue up onto a planet, and then that's when the third person action happens, right?
So that's another reason why this game feels really good, is that you do not look at menus. The game isn't like in menus, basically. Obviously you have menus to like pick your gear and upgrade your stuff, but how it works is you spawn in your ship and you physically walk around your ship to get to the menus, which it sounds simple, but it's really engaging, and that's what makes this game so fun, is that like you're just always living as a Helldiver. Even when you have to go upgrade, let's say you want to upgrade a stratagem, you are walking around in a spaceship, physically going to walk over to the stratagem menu that's over there, like in that corridor, and you have to go walk over there, open the menu, then you can pick your upgrade, and when you exit out of that menu, you're back at your character on the spaceship walking around. Then you have to walk over to the radial solar system menu. I keep saying radial, I think that's the right word, right? Where it's like circular and you pick...
Yes, it's with a circle, and then like you pick a slice of the pie of whatever that...
Yeah, that's kind of how it is, yeah. So like you physically walk over to the spaceship map, and you, like, the animation when you enter the map is you kind of lean over onto the table, and then it brings up the map. And so when you play this game, you live as this character between the missions, and it's a small thing, but I didn't realize how important it is to keep you engaged, and it's really cool. So like you said, instead of just looking at menus and clicking, okay, click that planet, I'm going there, click that, okay, get this upgrade first though, then click over here, okay, now spawn in, and then you just magically appear. Like, the way that the spaceship works is once you pick a planet, your spaceship physically you can see, because there's like windows, you're always kind of in the atmosphere of whatever planet you're hovering over. Like, if you pick a new planet, your spaceship will say, like, you know, entering faster than light travel, and it will physically teleport to a new place. You can look out of the window and look down on the planet you're about to launch onto, and then it will say, like, prepping hell pods, you know, like, deploy, get ready to deploy. And you physically take your character, walk into a hell pod, lock yourself in, and it like sucks you into this pod, closes it up, and then that's when you pick your weapons, your gear, the stratagems that you want to bring with you. And then when everyone's ready, you and your whole crew, whether it's you by yourself or playing with your friends, whatever, when everyone's ready, you then launch out of the pods, and you have a little bit of, obviously this is where like the load screen is, but you watch these pods, you know, catch on fire and scream down to the planet, and then you land in the pod and walk out of the pod as your character. So there's this, it's a full continuity of being your character the whole time, from picking your menu in the spaceship to boots on the ground warfare. It's, you are the Helldiver, and it just makes it so fun.
So what I was actually going, I didn't want to interrupt because like you had a nice flow there. Was that one? I originally assumed it was like because whenever you see the screenshots online of those menus, you don't see the guy walking up to it. So I kind of assumed it was like press RB to switch to the next tab and pick the stratagems, and RB the world map, RB system menu. So because like I was gonna be like, how is the game framing how you're selecting what maps to go on? But the idea is like it's whoever survived the most recent hell dive, or the guy who starts the mission that you're watching. Because like I was under the impression that you're kind of like a higher up that is like kind of observing it, but no, it is just like, oh. And you think of every other action game like this. Like I was just playing Marvel's Midnight Suns earlier, and in between missions, do you know that game, Kyle?
I have heard of it. I know
so it's XCOM, but Marvel heroes, and all of your actions are you take 3 heroes with you, and you have a 12-card deck for each of them, and you shuffle them together. You get 3 energy a turn. So like Slay the Spire, but positioning matters and yada yada.
Okay.
But the idea is, so you have a mission, then after the mission you go back to like the home base where everybody's at, and you can, discover new cards and upgrade them, and you're walking around, but then you pick a new mission. So the idea is a lot of games do this. Mass Effects, this idea that after your main missions, you come back as your main character, that you get to walk around, deepen relationships, and all this other stuff, but instead it's this guy who's got approximately 48 seconds left of his life that is walking around and be like, all right, what am I going to die in today? Where am I going to die? And like that is kind of like almost a fun inverse of the trope of the, you know, protagonist walking around and getting stronger before the next mission, when it's really just like, you are a nameless, meaningless dude that is just going to die as soon as... Because what percentage of missions have you landed with a Helldiver and then left the planet with the same guy?
Yeah, I was thinking about that as you were talking. It's probably not many. It's very, very easy to die in this game. And if you play solo, which is, you know, extra hard, but even then, if you die, like before I said a teammate has to call you in, if you're playing solo, they do just auto spawn you in because, you know, you're playing by yourself, so no one else can call you in. So you still have the kind of depleting life system, even if you're playing solo. It's not like a hardcore mode, one life, and that's it. But I would guess I don't know that I've ever... No, that's not true. On the easier difficulties, the game is extremely easy. For sure, I have, landed on the planet with my guy, never died, and then escaped on the...
Honestly, I was under the impression there was basically a almost 0% chance, but... You're saying that, like, okay, let's say on an average difficulty, not on easy and not on the harder missions, like, because I assume there's some, like, easy, normal, hard. Is that still true that it's, like...
Yeah, there's 11 difficulties. Yeah.
Okay, well, then never mind. I'm not going to ask about the specifics, but... So it is safe to assume that that guy is picking how he dies. Now, this is where I'm going to ask some nitty-gritty details about some of the stuff that's even before gameplay starts. You're talking about stratagems. Can you, what I hear when I say that is like, my understanding is that they're like a super attack, right? Like a super in like a fighting game. Like a wave of missiles or a really insane weapon or a big laser beam. Like what are the different things you can call down? Because like in my mind, they're just different variants of clear the screen, but the way you clear it is different. Is that
it's similar, but they've added a lot of stratagems. There's a lot of cool ones. So when you launch in Helldivers, you get to pick 4 stratagems, and there's like 100 total stratagems you can pick, and there's different categories. There's basically like a super weapon you can have that has limited ammo. Then there are the orbital barrages, which are like longer cooldown, and you know, and they're bigger bombastic effects. Then there's the hangar, where you can call down like sweeping. They're usually shorter cooldowns, and it's like a fighter jet that comes down and will drop a little bomb, or will do a sweeping attack of a minigun and clean out just a small line. Then you can call down turrets that just sit in one spot and do a certain thing. Like there's a Tesla turret that'll zap nearby enemies, including you. If you're nearby, when it goes off, you will just fucking instantly die. It's hilarious. Then there's a turrets that you can man, like emplacements is what they're called, where you get inside them and you control them. Turrets are also great because they don't distinguish friendly fire. So like they'll just shoot. They won't shoot at you, but if they're shooting at an enemy and you cross that line of fire, they just won't stop shooting and you'll just kill yourself. It's really fun. Then there's mines. There's a ton of different stratagems. There's actually mechs you can call down as well. There's a lot of stratagems. They do, as you said, though, clear the screen differently, to put it in the simplest terms possible. It isn't just like, oh, there's dudes in front of me, get rid of them. They all have pretty specific uses. Like, I'll give you an example with the basic ones. There's the first one you start off with is the Precision Strike. I'm trying to find it here. Orbital Precision Strike. It's a 90-second cooldown, and after like a 5 or 10-second delay, a giant strike just shoots down at that spot, and it's just one singular bomb that kind of just blows up instantly. It's like a big laser that blows up when it hits the planet, basically. So you have to work on the timing. Like sometimes you can call it down, and then the enemy that you wanted to kill has moved, and now the orbital strike did nothing because you didn't time it right. That one's usually best for killing like buildings or static structures or whatever. Then there can be a gas strike, which comes down quickly and it blankets the area in gas that like slowly slows down the enemies and slowly like eats away at them, because it's a poisonous gas. Then there's like an EMP strike, which is an even bigger blanket area, but it doesn't actually do damage. It just kind of stuns everybody in it for like 5 seconds straight to give you time to run away. There's a smoke screen. There's napalm. There's an orbital strike that like blankets an area the size of frickin', you know, like a... I don't even know how to describe it.
Nail it. Come on.
Huge.
Oh, whoa.
It's a huge area, but you know, like it's not super accurate. It just kind of slowly boom, boom, blows up in a huge area. Then there's an orbital laser that has it's a gigantic red fiery beam that that tracks enemies, literally just like follows enemies and goes to the nearest one, and it's timed. But you can only use it a certain number of times per mission. So you get the idea. There's just a ton of different ways, and because of the way how many enemies there are, the enemies are specialized as well. So like depending on the mission, depending on the type of enemy you're fighting, depending on the planet, you want to bring certain stratagems. Like fire-based ones, napalm ones are not very good against automatons. I think they just have a natural resistance to burning stuff. Like a flamethrower is just terrible against them. It really doesn't do a lot. But like laser-based things and like heavy armor penetrating weapons are really good against them. So I'll give you an example of what I used to drop down with. The original like super good stratagem kit that I used to use. It was a personal shield battery where it sat on your back. It put a little bubble of a shield around you. And it had a health bar. It would deflect bullets. Once that shield was depleted, there was a cooldown period of like 30 seconds, and then the shield would come back. It was amazing. I mean, it still is very good, but it's been nerfed since then. But it's really good at saving you from incidental friendly fire. It's really good at saving you against the automatons, because the automatons shoot guns and lasers, right? Where like the bugs have to usually melee attack you. They can like spit stuff at you, but it's just like a different playstyle against the bugs. But the shield generator is very, very good at keeping you alive. Then I would bring this weapon called the railgun, which had a delay when you shot it. You had to hold down the mouse button, charge up your shot, and then after you charged it, it was like a, pinpoint accuracy, super high damage kind of sniper shot. But it was surprisingly versatile because as you charge it, it does certain different amounts of damage. So like once you got good with it, you knew like, okay, at about a half charge, this is strong enough to kill this specific type of enemy. So you can go boom and just like shoot a quick shot to kill the one guy that you need to kill quickly. But then that guy is super powerful. So I'm going to fully charge up this railgun and try to hit him in his critical weak spot. And if I do that twice, he'll die. So this railgun was super, super versatile. So I would bring the shield backpack, the railgun. Then I would bring the Eagle cluster bomb, which is, it's wherever you throw it, it lands like perpendicular to you. So it blankets an area from left to right in front of you. But it was just this crazy chaotic explosion of cluster bombs. It would just go and blow up really quickly. But it was really, really good at clearing out enemies. It did high enough damage that it could kill the higher, tankier, tougher enemies. And it was a big enough AoE that it would clear out big swarms as well. And then I would bring the orbital laser cannon, orbital laser, which was the one I just mentioned, where it's this gigantic orange beam of laser that just hones in on enemies and follows them everywhere. It's very good at taking out super, super big tanky enemies that don't move a lot. There's an enemy called a Bile Titan, where it's like probably 100 feet tall. It's this bug. It has, huge. It's just this giant 100-foot tall bug with super tall, long legs, and it like pukes up all this bile on you that basically instantly kills you. But you throw the orbital laser on top of that thing, and it will just stick onto it and kill it. And it kills it fast enough that the laser still has time to like go around and kill other stuff too. So the kit, I don't know if any of this is interesting to you, but I'm just doing it anyway.
Yeah, no. Like, keep going. I'm listening.
So those were the 4 stratagems. It was the shield backpack that like let me feel very tanky and kept me alive longer. There was the railgun, which was a very versatile gun that could take out virtually any enemy you come across. It can handle it. Then I would do the cluster bomb to help me clear out like chaff and medium tankiness to low tankiness enemies in big swarms. Then I would bring the laser to kill the gigantic guys that I couldn't deal with otherwise. So that kit was like the god kit, and it took care of everything. Then, of course, we could get into this too. Arrowhead, which is the developers, decided that they just don't want people having fun, and they went through this period of nerfing literally everything that was good and fun. That's why I actually stopped playing the game. If you want to talk about...
So you were one... Yeah, okay, interesting.
So these devs have had an amazing arc. There was... We briefly talked about this too, the dislike campaign when... people started getting logged out of their... It was like it had to do with Sony, because this is a Sony game.
You had to sign into the PSN account to like access the online servers. You had to create a PSN account and sign in. And a lot of people, there are a lot of countries that don't allow it. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. So even on Steam, on PC, you had to sign in to your Sony account to play the game through Steam. And so there was this giant campaign of everyone mass disliking the game, and it became overwhelmingly negative reviews. And then, even though it wasn't really Arrowhead's fault, it was Sony's fault. So it was a little bit misguided, but I guess it kind of worked because Sony backed off of the decision. They stopped requiring it. So I guess it did work.
In fact, it actually applies to their single player games. Now they give you bonuses for doing it instead of it being a mandatory requirement.
Oh, wow. So it actually had longer reaching effects. That's really nice. So, what were we talking about before we went on that tangent?
You were talking about the development philosophy here.
Yes. Okay. So Arrowhead has gone through quite an arc where they had this philosophy for a while where they didn't want the game to be like beatable by one person. So when the game came out, the kit that I just described, like literally those exact 4 stratagems, you could use that and beat every single mission in the game easily on the hardest difficulty. Once you got decent at the game, you could... So that's what I was actually doing for a while. I was farming the Helldiver 7, which was at the time the hardest difficulty you could get. Or was it 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, it was difficulty 9. Holy shit.
Anyway, was this kind of like Torment and Diablo for like
the
dumb brain? That's kind of how that works. Just
Yep. Just the scaling difficulty, and each one added something new. And from all the way from 1 to 11, it actually they change one little thing each time, and eventually, it becomes quite difficult. So I was farming Helldiver 9 difficulty missions solo with this kit, and it was actually pretty easy, but it was really fun. And Arrowhead went, well, we don't want people to be able to solo the hardest difficulty, so we need to nerf everything to make people either play together, or if you want to play solo, you can't as easily solo the hardest difficulties. Like, you have to be extremely good at the game to solo the hardest stuff. So they went through this phase of nerfing every single thing that was good and buffing basically nothing. And it frustrated me to no end, frustrated the community, really. Everyone was mad at it because it was like they nerfed stratagems, made them weaker, made the cooldowns longer, made guns weaker, changed the mechanics of them so they don't work as well. So you ended up with these kits where, like, you can't use your stratagems hardly ever because the cooldowns are so immense that, like, once you use it, you'll just die if you don't have access to it, because then you'll get swarmed and you can't... It just sucked. Your guns hit like wet noodles, so you can't kill the swarms anyway. So, like, enemies swarm you, you can't kill them with your guns, so you need the stratagem, you call in the stratagem, but then it's on such a long cooldown, the very next swarm is just going to kill you. It was just this horrible cycle of, like, basically ruining the game and making it not fun or playable. So I straight up quit the game, because they did this for months straight. Like, they nerfed a couple things, and I was like, I guess that deserves... It is very strong, like, there's no reason to use anything else in the game, so I understand them nerfing this stuff, but, like, buff the other things to make them better. They just didn't really do that. So they did that multiple patches in a row until eventually, like, what I loved about the game was completely dead and gone, and so I just quit. And a lot of other people did too. And that gave Arrowhead a kind of awakening where they were like, you know what? This is a PvE game. Why are we doing this? Why are we not letting people have fun? Like, they were having fun. They were playing our game. Then because of our vision, everyone has now stopped playing the game. So, like, why don't we just let the community play it the way that they want to? So they went through this, like, I think it was a pretty iconic... I don't know, it was like a 90-day plan where for 90 days straight, they just buffed things. And so every patch for 3 months straight was them just bringing up everything, buffing everything, making guns good, making orbital or stratagem strong, and they just skyrocketed the fun of the game. And it actually got me to come back and play the game. I quit at about 80 hours of gameplay the first time when they started nerfing everything, and now I'm at 120. So like I've come back and played another 40 something hours since they've been buffing things, which I know isn't a lot given that the game's been out for over a year, but it's like I was playing it every day for a couple weeks again with Ryan specifically. We were doing missions and it was really fun. So anyways, it was very cool to see Arrowhead as a company not succumb to vision over community, which is what Path of Exile 2 has kind of been doing, where like their vision is basically making a game that's unfun and nobody likes and everyone's quitting. So
I still don't understand what the fuck's happening with Path of Exile 2. It seems very strange to me. And I don't know anything about it, and I just like, what is happening?
Basically, it's to put it like the cleanest way that I know how is that Path of Exile 2 is having an identity crisis. I don't think even the developers, like, they have a vision. They want this, Souls-like combat matters ARPG, but that is just it's those two ideas conflict. You can't have meaningful combat in an ARPG. Like, just the nature
slow,
of how
methodical,
so unless you get rid of the swarms of enemies in ARPGs, which is what makes it an ARPG, like, unless they change swarms of enemies into one or two individual monsters that are like more tough, they're just not going to be able to get the gameplay that they want. And so overall, it's just a major identity crisis. They don't know what they want from the game. It's like way too hard in ways that really suck and aren't fun. It's too, I don't know. It's like there's like a whole thing, but basically like the game just doesn't know what it's doing and it doesn't feel good to play. That's basically the problem.
I don't know. That sounds like my understanding is that most people play stuff they don't like according to reviews. Right. Whether you recommend their game or not, you talk about how much you hate it. So I don't know. I kid.
So anyways, back to Helldivers. Yeah, Arrowhead Studios had quite a miraculous recovery, and the game is really good and healthy and fun, and they have fully embraced just like letting us be kind of superheroes and owning. And they did add the 3 extra difficulties, so it used to cap at 9, now it caps at 11 or 12.
Oh, okay.
Fuck, dude, I'm an idiot. I really can't remember. They do it in groups of 3s. There's like the easy difficulties are 1, 2, and 3. Then the like moderate difficulties are 4, 5, 6. The hard ones were 7, 8, 9. Now there's super hard ones, which should be, I think, 10, 11, 12. For some reason, I only see an 11 in my head, but I'm pretty sure there's a 12 difficulty. So yeah, they added the torments that like Diablo 3 did, where they just scaled up the difficulties in numbers. So now though, because they've buffed everything, you can pick almost every single stratagem in the game is useful for something, and they've done an amazing job. Like, I have indecision paralysis starting missions sometimes because I want to use 6 or 7 different things, whereas before I just instant snap picked the shield, the railgun, the laser, and the cluster bomb, and I never needed anything else. Now it's like, oh, the jetpack is so fun, and it's really good on this map because it's kind of swampy and there's a lot of shit that like slows you down. I want to jump over that, and like, I love the walking barrage. It's really good against the Illuminate because they have these ships in giant areas, and the walking barrage is a slow-moving barrage that goes forward from where you throw it, but like it's good at taking out ships, but it's not that good against the faster, smaller enemies. So like then, I don't know. It's really fun. Tons of things to pick from. The game is in the best spot. I don't know. Actually, every patch they release, it's like in the best spot that it's ever been. It just keeps getting better. So yeah, so that's basically stratagems in a nutshell. Wow. is how they work and what happened to them, and which led us into talking about Arrowhead. And when you're on these planets, like I'll just go ahead unless you have a question specifically. I'll just move into
so actually just because like the way I categorize it, we're talking about basically the non-in-game stuff and then the in-game stuff. Because I want to ask to you. We've flirted with the idea of talking about just live service in general. So I wanted to get a sense of when I saw this store, it seems like the most like what I envisioned when people say microtransactions, what they actually mean. Was that a fair, like, it feels like they figured it out and like it's really like, it doesn't feel as if I don't pay, I'm falling behind. And it seems like you get enough of this currency that, like, realistically, because like when you talk about stratagems, I don't know that I necessarily would want to, like, I wouldn't feel more powerful by having all of them at once anyway. And it seems like the cosmetics are kind of boring, which is like good for someone who doesn't want to spend money. Can you give me an idea of like what was your kind of feeling and experience with their monetization?
Yeah, I think you said it well. They did it right. You can earn the currency to buy, they call them war bonds, is what war bond, maybe that's, I feel like that's going to be a word that's hard for people to understand over a mic. War bond. That's what they're called war bonds. They're these little packs of, either armor, weapons, new stratagems, grenades, a couple different things you can unlock. So how it works is you get super credits, which you can pay for with real money or collect in game. They're just scattered on the map. Super credits. You can find them. So when I started playing, I played it enough that I actually was able to get enough super credits in game just by playing to buy the war bonds as they released. I was able to get enough currency just by playing. Now, it's cool in this game, instead of just being like a daily that you have to complete, which they do have, but instead of just being a daily that gives you your super credits for the day and it's limited, like the super credits literally spawn as items in the map that you collect, along with the samples for the upgrades or war medals or your requisition slips, which is just like the money. I can go over that stuff, but it's a physical item in game that spawns in areas randomly. So like you can get unlucky and not find them, or you can get super lucky and find 50, 100 super credits in a map, and a war bond costs 1,000. So $10 is the real world equivalency to that. They also do a thing where like you just buy the credits you need and you can spend the credits to get the war bonds. And then within the war bonds, you unlock the stuff. So it's done very well, and because of how I was talking about how many different stratagems there are, and because of how niche a lot of them are, you don't just get to like buy the newest war bond that's the best thing ever. It rarely has that. Like, it will have a really good gun, but then that gun isn't very good against bots. So now suddenly it's like a whole faction of the game just isn't very, you're not good against it. So you can't even use the new gun that you just bought because it's not very good against the missions that you're doing today. So it's just a really good system of the game being so versatile and all the different enemy types being so specific that, yeah, like you can get a new war bond and it just might not work for the enemies you're fighting today. But then it might be super OP against Terminids. Like there was a war bond that was all fire themed, and Terminids are very susceptible. Terminids are the bugs, very susceptible to fire. So the fire war bond was like, it was really good. But if you were fighting bots, it was basically useless. So yeah, I guess the long-winded version is. The short-winded version would be, yes, they did DLC correctly.
Did you feel compelled to spend money on the game?
I have not spent a single dollar outside of the amount, the initial purchase. I've been able to get enough credits to buy the war bonds that I want. At this point, they have like 10 war bonds. There are tier lists for the war bonds where it'll be like, this war bond has virtually nothing in it that's good. This one has, 3 different guns that are all extremely strong, so we highly recommend you get it because these guns are actually good against everything. And but because of the way you can collect super credits, I did not feel compelled to spend money. I didn't have to. Just by playing the game, I was able to get enough over time that I was like, yeah, I don't want 2 of these 3 war bonds. I like this one. I just got enough money to buy it. I'll get it, and now I use my medals to unlock the items within the war bond, and we're good to go. So, no, I didn't feel compelled to spend the money, but I'm also the kind of guy that's like that, where I'm a bit, bullheaded, where it's like, no, fuck you, I'm not spending even more money. Like, you're giving this stuff to me for free? Fine, I'll grind it out and get it then. Like, I'm not giving you any other whatever. So
that sounds like a lot of fun.
I mean, it is. I like to grind games and play them like that, so it works for me. I was also
cool.
being hyperbolic on my position. I would buy a cosmetic, but I've never found myself. So
because it's more of a. I know that you are someone that it's almost on principle, not because you. I'm going to put you on blast here. I think you could afford most microtransactions. I'll say it.
Sure.
You probably could afford to spend a lot more on video games than you do, but you don't want to. So games that, and you've never been one to been bullied into purchasing anything. Like if a game ends up being too grindy that you don't like, that you're just like, no, I just will stop engaging and not be like, fine, I'll buy your starter pack or whatever. So
right.
I was curious if like, so it sounds like you've never gotten to the point where you're even like, man, I wish I could have extra other than like, I'm having so much fun, I just want more stuff. Never because like, I'm feeling the pinch. They designed this moment to feel like that. Okay.
No, that's a good way to put it. Yes, I'm having so much fun that I don't really need to buy a new war bond. And no, they don't make war bonds that are so blatantly powerful that you have to buy them. They just don't do that because of the way the game works, the versatility of the enemies and the way the combat is. Like, yeah, they have a really, really beautiful system here, and I think that probably earns them a lot of money from people because people, I don't know if there's statistics to back this up, but in my head is that like developers that have the goodwill of the community will earn more. And I think that's actually what Path of Exile 1 is like, where I've probably spent over $100 on that game over the years that I've played it, which is frankly not a lot compared to most people.
How much did you say you spent?
Like $100, $120.
Oh my god, that's nothing. Think about. I mean, you spent.
I've been playing it for 10 years.
Yeah, you've been playing thousands, plural, of hours on it. So
yeah. So like that game, but the thing is, that game's a little different because you need the stash tabs to like manage all of the different currencies in the game. So
yeah, we might be.
It's interesting.
A little bit of.
It is a little different because that game does feel more required. Like you get to a point where you've committed enough time to Path of Exile, you like it enough. You literally need the currency stash tab, and it is not free. You have to pay real world dollars to get the currency stash tab. So it's like, that is a type of game where you do feel pinched after a certain point. But because the game is so fun and good and deep, and you can do so many things, and the developers are cool, you don't feel bad giving them some money to get the thing that will help you. I don't know if that's like a parasitic relationship almost or something.
No, but like I think about it like if you go beyond video games, think about like let's say there's brands that you buy a thing and it works so well that you're like, well, I'll get more of that stuff. I think it's a kind of like an extension of that of, if a game is good enough that you're like, I'm having so much fun that I don't mind it. Like, I do think that like Path of Exile being free is confusing.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Yeah, I forgot. Path of Exile it is just straight up free to play. So if you
it isn't
play
an equal comparison.
Yeah, I mean, like Ryan, again, this fucking cursed guy coming up.
This
again.
Fucking guy.
Ryan, he is the type. He is more, I would just say, bullheaded than I am when it comes to spending money on games. Like, even if he likes a game, which he does, he loves Path of Exile. He spent money on Path of Exile to get the tabs that you need. I mean, he's probably spent maybe like $40, which I think if you spend $20 on Path of Exile, you can get most of the stash tabs that you need.
That's how much I've spent on the game, and I have stash tabs, and you know how much I played that game.
Right, so. Yeah. So you probably have like the 2 or 3 stash tabs you need the most, and $20 will get you that, and that's usually all you need. Ryan has probably spent like 40 because he's gotten a few others. Each stash tab can cost, like if you get it on their weekend sale, they're like
sure,
$5. I don't even know what the conversion is. Anyways, it's like so. Yeah, he has spent money on Path of Exile because the game is so fun. You do feel kind of required to have these tabs once you commit enough time to it. But yeah, it's like you realize I've played this game for hundreds of hours and it was free and I love it and I want to play more. So it's like, yeah, I'll give you $20. Like it would be if it was a paid game, just like HELLDIVERS 2, for example. It's $40 to buy, and it has microtransactions, which is a whole other topic. I hate that, but this game does do it in a way where it doesn't feel bad. Unlike Diablo 4 with the egregious fucking pricing.
See,
it's a $70 fucking dollar game, and they have $60 microtransactions. Like, fuck you, man.
That's the thing that, like, if transactions were literally micro, I think people on both sides would be happier, except obviously the developers, right?
That's funny.
Because like realistically, it's the people
They're macro
like you.
transactions. Yeah.
Right, and that's the classic bit. Is this idea that, you know, if it was $2 for this extra little thing, that sounds like a tip.
Yeah.
But a $20 horse costume feels like an entirely developed thing to sell to you as an extra purchase on a thing. But why isn't that just part of your game? You know, I'm like, that psychological difference to me of like it. That's why those Marvel Snap, for example, has a great $5 entry bundle that is way more value than you need, right? Because the first barrier is to get you to make that first purchase. Now that you've made that first purchase, extra purchases aren't that hard. So, that's why those first bundles are always so cheap, and why honestly most people are like fine with them existing, because they're just like a quick extra thing of like an optional kind of tip, and they'd be like, all right, we'll give you a little bit of a boost. It's like, okay, that's not that big of a deal. And obviously some games the boost is more important than others. Like in a game like Helldivers, where it's like, if your friend is helping you win better, it's like, I don't necessarily feel as bad as if my friend bought an item that makes him like way cooler and better at killing me and stopping me from playing the game. It's like the players that are good in Helldivers makes you able to play the game more and in harder ways, right? It's kind of like in WoW, you always want to be in the guild that's way better than you are, because they'll bring you along to the shit you would never be able to do on your own. And I think that like the pricing of that game just makes it sound like that seems like what the people wouldn't have like as strong of feelings. Like even people who are anti microtransactions probably wouldn't care that much if they were like, I don't know, it's like $2 for this thing and $3 for that. Like, I don't care. But it's like when it's like $20, you're just like, what the who would do this? This is messed up. Like there's like this level of indignation.
I would love to know if a game can succeed on that, because in my head, you know, if you had an actual microtransaction store where everything was $1 to $5, like $5 was the premium things you could buy and everything else was distributed between that, would I actually spend money on that? I was thinking about it with the Bazaar. This is going to be a little bit of a tangent. And then I want to get back to Helldivers 2 and talk about the actual game and why I love it so much, because all we've done is kind of discuss like how it works. Yeah. But I want to talk to you about specifically why I love it so much. But yeah, like in the Bazaar, you go to their store, they have one single item and it's $20 to $50. It's mind-blowing to me. I was like, if they had a store that was, you know, 15 different items, there was a skin for Vanessa for $5 there. There would be a rug right over there for $2. There's a card back there for $1. Like, would I actually buy it if it was really cool? I still think I would not. So, I think these $20, $40, $50, $60 microtransactions, they're horrible, but like, they're preying on the people who are going to spend compulsively on your game anyway. And I think that's why they do it. And all of these games, you see it everywhere. It's like in Overwatch, it's a $15 skin for your stupid fucking character. Like in these games that have these, what we would call egregious microtransactions, it's like they are that expensive for a reason, and they keep coming out that expensive for a reason, because people are fucking buying them.
So that's a really interesting point. So when my perspective as someone who does, I have spent. This makes it sound like I'm trying to do some calculation. I'm more just like thinking out loud of. I will spend on any game that I end up liking a lot, especially if it's free. I almost feel not that I don't feel obligated, but I feel better being like, you know what? I think you deserved my money. Like I almost like want to be like, and if it ends up benefiting me, fine. But like I'm well off enough to be able to buy a $10 starter pack in a game that I spent $20 on or nothing or whatever. So for me, when like the Bazaar, I would have given them money if anything they priced was more reasonable. Like it's like I want the cosmetics in that game, but the idea that I would spend all of the money I would get instead of buying a new game on a single skin for a single character, why would I spend any money there? But if it was every day, there would be like a $2 skin I might want. I'd probably log in every day just to see what it was. Like that seems more psychologically fucked up to me, but would work on me as a what they call a dolphin. instead of a whale.
Yeah, you're willing to spend. Yeah, you're willing to spend on a game. Yeah,
like Marvel Snap, I would buy the season pass without looking at the card because I'm like, I get $10 worth of value between a card and all of the other cosmetic little goofy things. I think they're all fun and they add up to be. You also get
the currency in the game to get more things or whatever. It's like you get. Granted, the value, quote unquote, is made up. You're getting made up currency for a made up thing that you don't ever. Yeah. There's no tangential value there, but like
that's very true.
You know, I do get what you're saying. So yeah,
it is interesting to hear you say kind of like this idea, like, well, I don't know that I would spend money regardless. It's not about necessarily the price.
I guess
the price makes it even easier to say no. But like, why?
Let me reframe it.
Oh, go ahead.
If it wasn't real. Which they wouldn't do it this way. They would do it the way that I'm about to describe, which is have it be in-game currency that you're earning, right? So like in the Bazaar, we'll use this example again. I had 6,000 gems, or I have about 6,000 gems. Because of the way, they're still an early bit, whatever, I'm not even going to explain it. If they had skins that were like 500 gems, or even 1,000 gems for like a cool dually skin, or a card back that was 500 gems, that I probably would pay. If I saw a really cool like rug that was 300 gems, I would probably just buy it and go, oh yeah, I like that. Okay, cool. I have so many gems. I don't know what to use them on at this point. Yeah, let me just buy that. I would do that. I guess I was using the example before as real world dollars, and I literally visualized it in my head. I'm like, seeing a dollar price tag on something, no, I wouldn't spend real money. But if it was $1 of equivalent currency that I've been earning in the game for free, I would for sure spend that, but that's not their goal. They want these giant, high gem-priced items to drain your gems and force you or make you feel compelled to spend real money to get more gems. That's the cycle they want to do. It's like, yeah, the people like me who are good at the game, I get a lot of chests, I get a ton of gems for free. It's like, I will never run out of gems if I'm only buying 500 gem skins. I will run out of gems if it's a 5,000 gem skin. So I think that's the sinkhole they're trying to pull you into, is like, here's a really cool thing you like, but it's going to cost you 70% of your gems right now. And you have to go like, well, I guess I'll have enough left to get like 15 ranked tickets. And if I keep sustaining and go infinite with that, then maybe it'll be okay. Okay, maybe I can swing this. And then eventually you end up with no gems and you want to buy more. I think that's what they're wanting to do. So I think
you're right.
A shop like, but you, for example, you don't play the game as much. You don't have as many gems. How many gems do you have in Bazaar right now?
It's not fair. I literally just spent 3,000, but I have like 40 gems. But
okay,
I had just saved up.
If you had, so you bought something from the store? I actually did too. I bought this.
No, Kyle, you're gross. I've never done that. I've only just bought Mac with gems. Oh. That's what I had to save up for.
Well, yeah. Okay, so I have all the characters and I had 6,000 gems, and there was a rug cosmetic in the store for 2,000 gems, and I was like, okay, I'm going from 6,000 to 4,000. I still have plenty. I'm not going to be spending my gems anytime soon on anything because I have enough ranked tickets. I was like, fuck it, I'll just do it. Anyways, this is so stupid. Shouldn't be talking this much about a game that like nobody even knows. But anyways, we're just talking about the psychological aspect of the game. I would for sure be spending more gems if they had more items to spend on rather than one single super expensive item.
So I know that was a tangent, but I think that's something we've been wanting to talking about for a long time, is those types of stuff.
Yeah, we have, and it relates. Go ahead.
Because I was gonna say, it sounds like if I had played Helldivers, I could see myself spending money based on their prices on a lot of extra shit. Like, because there's something to be said of like, it's more fun to buy 10 little dumb knickknacks than one decent knickknack. Like, I don't want one Overwatch skin for $30. I'd rather have 30 random titles and card variants in Snap. And that's not a good comparison because none of those things are.
It would be like getting a super legendary skin for $20 or just a bunch of recolors of the base skin. Like.
And honestly, I'll take the recolors at this point. That's at least something. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I think most people want this the full new reskin that makes the character look fresh and cool and different. They're not going to care. They're
it's like, all about FOMO.
It's Tracer, but now she's purple
Kyle,
instead of white.
I remember a certain someone saying, "Oh, I like this skin more, but this one's rarer, so I'm going to use this one."
Yeah, I did that in the bazaar.
Yeah, so I that look, they
yeah, there's a
know what they're doing.
The rarity thing. So, Helldivers. The way the game works, you really don't even need to ever get war bonds. Some of them have very strong things in them, but you can get them just by playing the game. So if you bought Helldivers and just played it for a while, you would eventually get enough super credits to unlock the 1 or 2 war bonds that you actually want to get. Because a lot of them don't have good things. And I, as somebody who played the game for a while, then stopped, and when I came back, there was about 6 or 7 new war bonds that I hadn't seen before. I looked through them all, and I was like, there's maybe one of them that I actually want to get. So, as somebody who, basically what I'm getting at is, I don't know how the system would feel, or I thought I wouldn't know how the system would feel. If you consistently play, you consistently grind, you get enough to get every new war bond, it's hard to put yourself in the mindset of somebody who's coming in fresh and seeing like, oh, they've released 10 DLC, war bond packs with new items and shit in there. Like, oh my God, this is overwhelming. How am I ever going to get all this stuff? It's like, I actually did experience that because I took a really long break. And when I came back, there was a bunch of new things. I looked through them all. I was like, this one has 2 guns and a grenade. The guns don't look that good. The grenade is not that useful. This one's got a new stratagem, but it's kind of not, it doesn't look that good, and this and that. So I was able to kind of like work my way through them all and go, yeah, I actually only want one of these. This one had a gun I really want and a stratagem that I really like. So I'll try to get this one. And like, it worked perfectly. It was no problem. Like I was happy to play the game and get enough credits to get the war bond, and there's still so many other things in the game that you just don't need it. So we've talked enough about that shit. I want to talk about the actual game.
There's a game attached to this? I thought it was just a random money-making thing. Oh,
it's not just walking around a spaceship and talking about microtransactions. This game feels, maybe you'll know what I mean when I say this, like, it feels like a game.
Yeah, I do. That shit rules.
It feels like a game, and it's like all I can do is smile when I play Helldivers 2 and giggle. It's so fucking fun. It doesn't feel like some kind of convoluted system to get me to spend money on a game like a lot of games are now. They design a game around microtransactions, or like, they designed this game in a way where it's like, how do we get people to spend more money? How do we get people addicted to this so that they feel compelled to spend more, which is like how the dailies work in a lot of games. Honestly, that's kind of how Marvel Snap was. I actually had an awakening moment with that where I was like,
yeah,
I'm not actually having fun. Yeah, I'm logging in to do my dailies and reach the what even was the highest rank on the ladder? I can't remember what it's called now. Infinite. Yeah. I was like, I'm not having that fun. All I'm doing is feeling compelled to reach infinite because I've been getting infinite every season. So like, I keep wanting to do it again, and I want to do my dailies. But when I kind of peeled away the layers one day, I was like, wait, am I actually having fun playing this game? I kind of like, I play it while I'm taking a shit, or like I'll play it on my PC while I'm kind of working and like having to pay attention to emails, and like, so I can have short little stints and I don't have to commit myself to this. But am I actually having fun doing this? And I was like, no, I'm feeling stressed having to grind to infinite. Why the fuck am I playing this game? And I just stopped. I put it down in February of last year and I haven't touched it. Literally like a light switch just went off in my head. And I haven't touched it since. So, this game is not like that at all. You play it because it's fun. You don't play it because you need to complete the daily. You don't play it because of some other bullshit. Like, it's just so gamey. And what I mean by this, I'll try to explain it because it's sort of like intangible. But it feels like a classic like PlayStation 2 N64 era where you spend money on a game, it's a single player experience, and you play it to have fun. That's how this game feels, where like, first of all, it's shocking, but the community in this game is amazing. It's a little tough for newbies, because again, Ryan, I remember when he started off, he would message me every day like, did you have this experience where people would just kill you repeatedly and respawn you in just to kill you again immediately? I'm like, no.
No, that sounds fucked.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, I joined this match, I did quick play just to join a game and help people, and they just like killed me repeatedly and didn't say anything, and then eventually I just left because I couldn't play. And then he'd message me the next day and be like, had another game where a guy started yelling at me because like I didn't do a thing right, and then they were spam killing me and mad at me, and like, he had a string of pretty negative experiences when he first started. But at this point, I believe that has been overcome, and I don't know what changed. I don't know if he was just getting unlucky for a while with shitty people, because that will always be the case, no matter what game you play. If other human beings are involved, you will encounter fucking shitheads that ruin it. It's just like how humans are. It's horrible.
There will always be 18-year-olds that have nothing else going on.
Right,
too.
yeah.
So it's tough.
So outside of that, though, the community is really good, because for every one of those horrible experiences, you will actually encounter, I would say, the opposite of that, where somebody's like, this sounds fucking cringe, but they'll be like role-playing almost, but that's part of what makes this game so fun, is that you can just get into it and be like, I'm doing this for democracy, and like go do some crazy thing that gets you killed, but because you have 15 lives, you don't really care, and it was hilarious and fun, and maybe it actually worked. And like, there's memes of people, they'll call in a bomb on an enemy and just stand right where they called in the bomb and do like a salute. And as the bomb comes down, they're saluting and they blow up with the enemy that's on top of them. And it's like, it's just funny and fun. And the mechanics in the game are really, again, gamey, where there's a dive mechanic in the game where you literally just you're diving prone. But there's actually a benefit to it, because when you dive prone, it reduces the amount of damage you take from like AoE stuff. So there's an in-game reason to do it. It also puts out fire. If you get caught on fire and you dive to the ground, you will put yourself out. Because of the way stratagems work, like I described earlier, it's sort of a little quick time event mini game. You have to press a sequence of keys correctly, and if you fuck it up, then you can't call in the stratagem. And so you have to, like, while under pressure, open up this menu, type in the keys correctly, throw down the stratagem in the right spot that you need it to be. Sometimes, like, the stratagem won't go where you wanted it to, or like as you're about to throw the stratagem, an enemy hits you, and what that does in game is causes you to immediately drop this little it's a physical ball actually in game when you call in a stratagem. It's like a little grenade that you throw. It's basically just like a big laser that tells your ship up in the sky where to shoot. That's actually how stratagems work. Is it's your warship in the atmosphere above you calling down the thing that you have called in. So even there, like, there's a lore reason of how all this works. Like, if you're calling in an orbital laser, it's your warship above you shooting the laser down where you told it to. So, like, if you are holding this little beacon and you get hit by an enemy, you actually drop the beacon at your feet. So sometimes you'll be like about to do this epic thing and call in this stratagem, and you'll get hit from the side in a way you didn't anticipate, and you'll just drop it at your feet, and your whole team is with you, and suddenly you're like, oh my fuck, like, guys, I just dropped it, like, get out of here, and everyone's got to like run away and dive out of the way because you accidentally misfired, and then everyone blows up, and like, it's just such a riot. It's so fun. And like, the way the guns are, it's really satisfying too. Like, you know, there's automatic shotguns, there's SMGs, there's sniper rifles, there's every kind of gun you can imagine. So any kind of role you want to play is fulfilled. There's an arc blaster where it's basically just a lightning gun. It's got a little bit of a charge up, but it just shoots out this arc of lightning that bounces between enemies. But guess what? It bounces to teammates if they're too close too. So you'll be shooting a pack of enemies, and a stray teammate like comes a little bit too close trying to like help you out, but he's like kind of in the line of fire. So suddenly you'll just zap him and he dies and explodes. And then you got to call him in because like you're the one that killed him. So he dies, but now you feel pressure to like, well, fuck, I just killed this guy. Like, let me start running away to get the time to open this menu and call in my buddy. And like,
so Kyle,
it's just fun. It's just fun.
How did friendly fire become fun? Like, any game that's ever existed ever, everyone hates friendly fire. What is it about Helldivers that lets them make that stuff fun and not like, why is that funny instead of being like, why can't I just like, you know what I mean? Like, what? That's
a great question, and I have thought about that myself too. So it's also about attitude of the person playing. Like, there will be days where I will solo queue and I get, like, immediately I see my teammates are really low level. I'm like, oh, fuck. And they're constantly calling in stratagems, like, on our feet or in really bad spots, and they're killing me a lot, and I'm, like, getting frustrated. There's definitely days where I'm just getting mad that I keep dying to, like, people that don't know what they're doing, or, you know, even accidental misfire. So it does matter, you know, attitude definitely matters.
Okay.
But it's fun, especially with teammates, because of just how silly the game is. And like your characters, like the character audio matters a lot too, because for instance, if you have a machine gun, and you just start shooting it, your character will start laughing, and the longer you shoot it, the more maniacal he will laugh. And so by the time you're done, by the time you're done shooting your gun, he's just like, like it just elated. So like even your character's just having a blast, just shooting and blowing up, and like it translates. It's just really, really fun. And the way the characters talk, they'll be screaming like, "For democracy!" And like, it just makes you have fun. And so when you die to like a teammate doing something ridiculous and silly, like you can't help but laugh. Like Ryan and I will kill each other all the time, and we're just giggling about it. Like, "Oh fuck, dude. Oh no." It's like, it's just fun. I don't know how to explain it. I think the characters themselves, like always having fun, helps. And the fact that you have so many lives, it's fairly inconsequential if you die a couple times to like friendly fire. It's just not a big deal. And it happens. But also, everyone is signing up for the same game. Like, you all know what can happen. You all know that, like, dude, I was not trying to call a stratagem on our head. I had it in my hand. I was going to throw it, and then a fucking automaton shot me from the right and knocked me over, and I dropped it at our feet. Like, everyone knows that shit can happen. And so it's just fun. You're all signing up for the same game. You all know what can happen, and everyone has an understanding, and that also helps a lot. The characters are having fun. The game is so bombastic and silly and over the top that it is still hilarious when you die. Like the way the character ragdolls, for instance, if you dive off of a high surface, your character will immediately just like start flopping and like ragdolling as you fall through the air and land on the ground and like roll over and flop and stand back up, and now your leg's broken and you gotta heal so that you can keep walking. And like it's just, I don't know. That's what I mean when I say it just feels like a game. It's just such a riot, and you're just playing to have fun, and this game has captured that spirit beautifully. In a world where live service stuff is taking over, like games not respecting your time and just trying to get you addicted to the grind, it's just very refreshing to have a game like this where you're just truly playing it for like the heart and soul and the fun.
Man, imagine playing a game just for fun these days.
Right.
Because, like, a sentiment I always hear online is about, air quotes, wasting time, of, like, what was the point? And, like, even me and you say it, like, when I talk about the Bazaar, I don't think we brought that up this episode yet, but the Bazaar, no, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
But sincerely, like, the idea of, like, oh, I didn't earn anything from my game. Yeah, but I played a game. That's what the reward was, right? That was the entry fee, and, like, that kind of spirit of being in the moment and enjoying the game for the game's sake, and then the extra stuff outside of it is the bonuses. It feels like this game like almost highlights the fun that you're having in those moments. So it's more about that than it is about unlocking the next thing, because like a lot of games I feel like are structured in a way to let you know constantly what the next thing you're trying to unlock is and should get and stuff. Like, like, I know the Bazaar at the end, it shows you how many chests you could have won, and you describe how many chests you can have, where it feels like you could almost imagine they reverse engineered of like, well, how do we get people to want, like, to go again, like, to get them addicted, instead of it being like, oh, that was a fun run, you want to try again? Like that classic, imagine the Super Nintendo Game Over screen just says game over, try again, continue, or quit. Like, that's it. There's no currency. There's no upgrade. It's just like kind of just pure toy. Like, do you want to keep playing with your toy? And I think that magic is something that's gotten lost over time as like the industry has matured, and they're like the biggest, they're trying to be movies, and it's like, I don't know. I feel like that secret sauce is what you're describing of this chaos and like kind of leaning into the fun and highlighting. It seems like all the fun stuff isn't unlocking stuff. Almost feels like a I don't say a chore, but it's like something you just do in between games to like get yourself ready for the next one. It's like a lobby almost. It feels like the lobby loading in the next Call of Duty multiplayer match, I guess, in some kind of like, it's not they're not trying to gamify outside the game the way that, like, think of every video game and like how much of it is, are you in a menu deciding or reading or looking at a currency versus in the game making a video game decision? Slay the Spire, you are constantly engaged with Slay the Spire, and then you die and you just hit new run. There's no other like real. There's not even that much to unlock in that game, right? Like you unlock like a couple extra cards and a couple extra relics as time goes on, because they want you to have the most basic stuff, and like it feels so intentional, and that's why it feels so good. Their loop feels good, and I feel like that is something that's missing a lot of other things where loops don't feel good. It feels like I'm constantly being reminded of all the fun I should be having that I could buy, or that the stuff that you're missing out on that other people have. And I don't know, it doesn't seem like that game has interest in kind of highlighting that angle of the toy. And I really, really, really appreciate that, because man, it feels like the innocence and the stupidity of the innocence of this like product just kind of gets lost as you hyper focus on engagement metrics.
Yeah, that's exactly all correct. That's why this game just feels so special, because we'll talk about the Bazaar again real quick. There is a ranked mode and a free play mode, and I think that's what you were talking about earlier, is like you don't earn anything if you play the free play mode. And so it feels bad, but it's like, but wait, aren't you playing this game because the game is fun? So if you were in the free play mode and you're just playing matches, shouldn't that be enough for you because that's fun? But it's like, no, because the fucking developers of the game have created this system where I can see that I'm missing out on something by not doing it this other way. And so like, yeah, it's like, yes, I'm supposed to be having fun playing it for free, but they're making me feel bad for playing it this way. Like, here's the chest you could have won if you were playing ranked, and here's the chest you could have won if you were playing ranked and subscribed, paying $10 a month to us. It's like, here's the battle pass that you're not getting any experience for because you're playing the free play mode and not the ranked mode. And like, even though I know you do get experience in the playing free play in the Bazaar, so they do.
Yeah, but it's like for you, in the legally binding way. It's like where technically you are, but it's not real.
So yeah, it's like it's really hard to kind of, I don't know, parse through that and digest that, because I should have fun, because I know how much we're dunking on the Bazaar. We're mostly just talking about its monetization
it's nothing to do with
elements.
The game. Yeah, it's nothing to do with the game itself.
The actual gameplay is phenomenal. It is truly the most well-made auto battler card game-ish thing I've like ever played.
As someone who's played multiple ones of those, I am floored by its design.
I've played hundreds of hours of it, and I only started playing like 2 months ago. I can't stop playing this game. It's so fucking fun. But they're ruining my goodwill with these shitty fucking overarching systems. And anyways, yeah, just like playing the game for fun doesn't feel like that's an option. It feels like you have to play the ranked mode, care about getting ranks, care about getting experience and doing the things to get the battle pass shit. And like, I'm sure I'll have an awakening moment like I did with Marvel Snap, where I realize I'm not having fun with the game anymore and I'm playing it just for the grind, and I'll quit. But for now, I am enjoying the grind. That's usually where I sit and how I play games for so long, like Apex or like Path of Exile, where the game systems are fun enough that not fun enough. They are extremely fun. That's why I play it, and there happens to be something built around that. That's kind of how the Bazaar is. Like,
it's, instead of you trying to fight through something to get, like, to find the fun, it's more of like, this stuff is distracting me from the fun I'm trying to have. That I'm actively enjoying. Like, you're trying to distract me. And that's what's the hard part, is like, it sounds like you complain a lot, and then like, why are you still playing? Is like, because none of this has anything to do with the game.
Yeah, the game is fun.
Yeah,
that's a good way to put it. They're distracting me from having more fun. And Helldivers, let's bring it back, does not do that. They respect you, they respect your time, they just want you to have fun playing their game, and it is beautiful. and it's super, I don't know, like I can't speak highly enough about this game. They did have that, like I mentioned, the period early on where they kind of had a vision where they wanted it to be tough and gritty, and they lost their player base, lost the goodwill, and they themselves very respectably realized, like, wait, yeah, you know, our vision is killing our own game because people don't want to play it this way, and like, let's just help them play the game that they fell in love with initially. And so they just like rebounded and rubber banded, and now they're, you know, probably one of the most respectable game companies out there right now, even though they only have one game, Helldivers, basically. I don't know if they've made other games, but
no, as far as I know, Arrowpoint has only made Helldivers and then Helldivers 2. That's
sweet. Arrowhead. But yeah. And honestly, we didn't even talk about the specific gameplay too, the way the game works. Like, you have missions, there's a bunch of different types, but yeah, you land on the planet and you do a thing, and like, I did mention this earlier, but if somebody wanted to actually play it, like, it is a third-person shooter. You have guns and ammo that you have to manage. You can find ammo on the map, or you can call in supplies to help you if you get low on ammo. You have a certain amount of lives, but like, you kill all these different types of enemies and bugs, and it is very fun and satisfying. And like I mentioned, the dive mechanic, like, moving laterally is very important, you know, diving away from enemies that charge you, or diving away from a little spitter and trying to figure out how to manage this while this charger is charging me down, but then I have to deal with this spitter guy who's up on that hill shooting down at me. So like, it's a stressful game, but it's very fun and satisfying. And like, moment to moment, there is no game that's like more cinematic and fun than this one. I wish I could like show you the memes, or I wish you had seen more gameplay so you know what I'm talking about. But in terms of how cinematic this game is, I've never played a game that more organically creates cinematic moments than this one. It is mind-boggling how incredible, like, jaw-dropping, you know, like, belly laugh-inducing moments happen just on a mission-to-mission basis that, like, shock me every single time I play it. It's truly phenomenal.
That's interesting. I've always seen the kind of funny flop that you do while you're standing. Yeah, and I was actually going to comment of like, what I found interesting is, I don't know if I've heard of this game called Call of Duty.
Yeah.
The newest Blops. I don't know what it stands for. I think it's just called Blops because it's just a
it's a weird
lesbian
name,
orgy party sampler. Damn, that was good. But their big mechanical like innovation this time was like this, like what they call the Omni Move system, where the idea is like you can
sprint in any direction, right?
And dive in any of those directions too. So, and that's what reminded me of like, there's a 0% chance that Helldivers didn't at least kind of like show this. It feels like it's the first game that I've seen this idea of like the diving in all directions, and like I see it in gameplay clips all the time, and it's not just like, there's so many like moves in these kind of shootery games that are like, when is this ever going to come up? Or I don't know why I would need to do this, you know? I always think about the running flop in Call of Duty, like Call of Duty 4, you know, when you're sprinting, you go straight to a prone. Yeah. It's like, okay, I can think, like, that's useful sometimes, right? But you're not doing that every match or in most firefights. But it feels like the flopping is like...
Ironically, drop shotting was the biggest problem Call of Duty had. As soon as you start shooting at somebody, you go to prone. That was just like the gameplay.
Oh, that's right.
It ruined the game. It was so fucking boring because everyone was doing it. But I know what you're saying. Like,
yes, I gave a bad example.
Yeah, but the way this game works, where like the dive it's such good utility, and it's such an amazing gameplay piece that you wouldn't think it, but it is, and it creates these moments that are incredible and amazing, and the dive is super useful, but it's also like funny and gimmicky, and like it's just a perfect game mechanic. The dive. It's crazy how pivotal it is to kind of like the identity of Helldivers, this diving.
Are you able to shoot while you're going?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so I didn't know if it was interrupted.
Epic moments where you're diving off of a ledge while looking sideways and shooting. I mean, it's like a fucking movie, literally. Like it's so fun, and it's just so good. Yeah.
Honestly, this is just making me want to play Stuntman on the PS2. I tried to think of something completely unrelated, and that was terrible.
No, because that's kind of related.
The more you talk about this game, I get mad. It's like, why doesn't this sound like this? Sounds like something that 18-year-old, like if there was an alternate timeline in which this is my favorite game of all time. Because it sounds like when you describe the feeling and the design direction, that is the types of stuff I like. But there's something about just like guns firing that just they do nothing to the neurons in my brain. Unless the guns are weird. And
there are plenty in this, yeah.
But aren't they like kind of designed around like military, like kind of conventional weapon design? Like, is there any sci-fi influence in their weaponry?
Absolutely,
other than
yeah.
So like, give me some examples. I'd love to know, because as far as I've only seen like M14s and their cousins.
Of course, yeah. There's assault rifles and pistols and whatever, but you know, there's like a mini handheld. Like, I don't know. Maybe this is not. I guess it's not sci-fi, but it's just like a handheld grenade launcher thing that's got a delay, so it has a very specific mechanic you have to use, but it's not just a gun you blast at enemies. I mentioned there's the arc shotgun where it just like spits out this cone of electricity that'll bounce between enemies right in front of you. There is I guess, I don't know, maybe it is more military. There's flamethrowers, there's gas spewers, there's laser guns that just shoot like beams of lasers. It is mostly military-ish.
And a lot of those guns, are any of them on like the ammo consumption is high, or they're part of a strategy, like anything like that? Or are they like, you could pick that as your primary loadout gun?
All the ones like I'm describing are primary loadout guns, yeah.
Okay, but it is the majority though, is what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that lightning gun specifically has infinite ammo. That's kind of the cool part about it, is that it has infinite ammo where everything else in the game. It is very solid. It's just short range, and it's not really good against really tanky enemies, but it's great chaff clear, and I've brought it with me against the Illuminate, because swarms of these like zombie-infected, you know, mind-controlled things will come at you, and it just blasts like 10 of them at once. It's really satisfying and good.
And you know what you're going into when you select your planet, right? There's never like a question mark, and you load in and you're like, well, I have all this fire weapon against these robots and I'm fucked.
Nope. That is correct. You know exactly what you're getting into, so you can pick your stratagems around what you're going to fight. There's no surprises in that way. You even know like what the mission is going to be, so you can plan around that as well. Yeah. It is more military. I guess that's true, but it's so damn fun. And once you get into the nitty gritty of the game and understand the nuance, then the guns become, like, the differences in the guns become more important. So I guess in my head, that's why I'm excited to think about all the different guns and how they work, but explaining it to you, it is like, oh yeah, I guess they're just guns that shoot bullets. That's kind of how most of them are.
And I don't know why that level like that. It's weird because it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. But you think of, if you break anything down to its like rawest form, then like all video games are the same. If you really want to be that reductive, you know what I mean? But like, there's something about just, I have a sword, but I can shoot it from far away. That like, it just does weirdly nothing. It's not that I don't like it. It's just like this. I'd rather shoot like BBs out of maybe a gun. You know what? I think I know what it is. It's the disconnect between the weapon you're using and the damage you're doing. Because like a lot of guns, bullets are just like move so fast and are so small. You're like shooting muzzle flashes at someone that makes them fall down.
You're pointing and clicking at a target. You don't actually understand the connection there. Yeah,
and there's something really satisfying. And you think about like a lot of ARPGs that like the satisfying like impact explosion, like that meaty chunk. There's like that kind of, those make the brain juices in my brain. And I think that like a lot of, and I think it's also a little bit of like a lot of times when they use that type of weaponry, the type of aesthetic is like really boring to me. And the Helldivers 2 is not that case. Like, even though that a lot of the humanoid characters are like, I'd say it's a little cartoon. It's not like one-to-one realistic.
It's stylized.
It's a little like over animated or something. Like, it doesn't feel like they're trying to imitate real life images or anything.
Right. It's like Starship Troopers, the movie, where like it is real, but it's hyper realistic in a way it's like elevated reality, that it looks real, but the way people behave and the things that are happening are very much not real at all. That's what Helldivers is.
Yeah, and okay, so like for example, I think this is going to be a really weird comparison, is Grim Dawn. A lot of their, so they as that action RPG that has, I forget the term of it, but the idea is they have, it's like the Old West mixed with dark fantasy, and they have a lot of guns, but all of their, even their pistols and their rifles, like, it is a single powerful shot, and like a lot of times when you're shooting, you're not just shooting the bullet. It's like, I'm shooting a flaming bullet with a fucking demon crow exploding out of the corpse, you know, where like you mystify it a little bit. And I guess I remember I mentioned this to you years ago. It's just like this idea that anything that emulates stuff I already see, it like just doesn't move the needle in terms of my engagement of like, not that I want to live in a different world or like want to be removed, but it's like emulating stuff I know how it works doesn't excite me. And I think it's a really, like, maybe I'm trying to understand why it's boring to me, and I'm you know, I could just be making shit up, but that's been my excuse a lot of times. Just like, whenever it is modern blank, it's not even like the military part that bothers me. It's just like, I don't want to be a superhero in a world that I understand or I recognize. I love seeing alien shit. And I think that's why, like, I love horror so much, is like, none of horror is about placing you in scenarios and situations that you don't know and you are not comfortable with.
Yeah,
and
it's like it's real, but it's something you will never experience.
They changed something that, like, now there's when you look around, you're like, what the fuck is happening, or what do we do? That kind of energy is, like, I think what is, like, in fiction very appealing to me, and to extrapolate that out then to video games of, like, what type, because I think about Superhot is Superhot VR is like one of my favorite games of all time, and that really is just like, you're shooting people, like humanoid shapes with traditional weaponry, but I'm doing it, so that's like that nice little weird twist to it, right? Whereas
I think this game would, I think it would work for you, because
I think you're probably,
you're not, it isn't Call of Duty where I'm a guy shooting another guy with a gun and you get a couple hit markers and then they fall over. It's like, how many different types of enemies there are and the way they interact with you and how you have to deal with them. Something about it, like, the guns become, the boringness of the guns, I think, won't stand out because of the way you have to interact with the game. It's, I don't know. I don't know.
No, I actually think you're totally right. It's like being removed. Like, I think about Borderlands 2, in some ways, of like, a lot of that is most of the guns. I know that they say they're like 18 quadrillion guns, but 17.9 gazillion are just different numbers on a traditional gun. But like, what you're shooting against and the way it looks kind of makes it feel different. And I think that Helldivers, while the men using it are pretty normally, where you're shooting, the way you're doing it, and the
what
enemy
you're fighting,
types,
having to hit weak points, having to deal with these swarms of enemies, that it is super sci-fi and alternate reality in that way. And between the stratagems being really like fun and powerful, and I don't know. I think that part of the game is not something that would bother you. Just the, boring military gun stuff, because it's so secondary to the overall experience that I think it wouldn't be that much of an impact to you. Whereas, something like Call of Duty, like, the whole point is you are the guy holding the gun, shooting the other guy, and they fall over. It's like, that's not really what this game does. So I think guns being maybe more modern, which, again, there is some sci-fi twists and fun to the game. Like, you could be the dedicated flamethrower guy if you love the way it worked. Like, use a jetpack, hover in the air, blast your flamethrower down so you don't get burned by it, and like, you can fulfill, that's another thing too. I mean, we're at an hour and a half, we should wrap this up, but you can fulfill really specific fantasies in this game too. Like, there's whole laser gun packages, so you could be the quasar cannon laser dude who you have like a heat laser that just like shoots a beam of heat at something, and you can be like very specialized in killing specific types of enemies, and like, you have a laser gun, and you can have grenades that do fucking lasery shit. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's so good. And I think you would very quickly get over that part of like, oh, I'm just using a shotgun. But it doesn't quite feel like that
with
how you play the game.
I have a one random question. If I wanted to be an anti-robot guy, I don't like fighting the bugs. I never want to do a mission where there's bugs. How hard would it be to do that? Like, if you just don't like one of the factions.
So easy. It's so funny you say that, because that is a huge thing. It's like, there's like memes about people who they only fight bugs or only bots. Like, I don't do anything except fight bots all day. I don't care what the mission is. I'm just going on the robot planets to kill the automatons. I don't care. And like, yeah, you can do it in tons of different ways. Granted, like I said earlier, flamethrowers suddenly become a gun you probably just never use or have used or will ever use because you're fighting bots, and flamethrowers are terrible against bots. So like, there's parts of the game you'll just never experience, but for sure, if you love the way bots interact or bugs interact and you just want to kill them, do that all day, every day. Not an
Interesting.
issue.
Okay. I was wondering if the game kind of had one of these things of like, oh, we want you to do everything. The last thing I'll ask is, do you have a sense that they're going to add another faction? Like, because they teased the aliens for a while. Like, I'm sure you even got a sense that they, like, you saw some of that commentary where people were pointing out some stuff. They're like,
or like weird lasers were appearing, and like people were seeing the spaceships in the sky, and we're like, what the fuck?
This is the only example of them taking what is a live service game and I think bringing it to its full potential, where it feels like the game developers are. It's a literal living organism that needs constant attention and needs some like, but in a good way. Like, the idea is they're just like guiding it instead of it just being like, oh, it's just a game. We'll just inject shit into it, so you constantly are playing it. You know, it feels like they were down in the trenches with people, and I know maybe their decisions on what to nerf and buff and stuff wasn't the greatest, but I think everyone was so willing to come back because they knew the thing they made was so great that they wanted to love it again.
That's another really good point, and I'm sad I don't remember the guy's name, but I'm being real when I say there was an actual dude who was the dungeon master of this game, and like, he might still be the guy. Yeah, it's like Troy or
Roy or Loy or McToy or...
But yeah, like controlling the actual overall narrative of the game in real time and slowly injecting like a new threat that's coming. You're right. That is doing live service at its absolute best. Like, teasing something in real time for it to arrive in like a cinematic way. Yeah, rather than just being like, a game where it's like, oh, here's the expansion pack. A new boss is suddenly like, here's a whole new thing you can do. Boom, like, install the game and go do it. It's like, wait, why am I seeing UFOs in the sky right now? What? I've never seen this before. And then like a few days later, it's like, well, there's fucking laser beams coming down, killing the enemies for me. I didn't do that. What is this? Like, really, really well done.
Like, the idea also, that kind of, it felt kind of like the schoolyard thing of like, no, John, that didn't happen. I've never seen that. What are you talking about? But then some other person chimes in and is like, no, I did too. Like, this weird thing of like, you can't tell if someone misunderstood something or if it's actually happening. Then other people are corroborating stories, and some make sense and some, like, it felt like you couldn't tell what was happening, but everyone knew at some point something was. It was Joel, by the way, was the name.
Joel, yes, Joel.
I had to Google this because I was very curious.
Yeah, people would be like jokingly mad at Joel, like, fucking Joel, god damn it,
yeah. Like. But do you? I never actually got an answer. Do you feel like they have another tease going on since you've come back? Or
I don't know. Okay. I know that the Illuminate were in Helldivers 1, so people were expecting them to come at some point.
Okay.
I don't know if there's a fourth race or not. I haven't looked into it. I wouldn't be surprised if they did like water stuff. No, they don't. Water is like, they kind of stay away from water in Helldivers. Like, if you walk through water that's even waist deep, your character will just fucking drown. It's hilarious. It's like, nobody can swim. They don't do water stuff. So I take that.
Yeah, my quick Googling really does not even show rumors. There are posts like from 7 months ago. They're like, what do you think might be a fourth faction? But no actual like, hey, I saw something. What is this? And going from there. So
nope, nothing like that. So anyways, I think this will be a wrap up now. Helldivers 2. If you like kind of, Taylor, you described it earlier as like playing with action figures in a roundabout way.
Smushing them together, yeah.
Yeah, like it really does feel like just being a kid playing with action figures, like holding your little guy and making him throw a nuclear bomb at an enemy and be just like, I have a flamethrower now and I'm flying through the air. It's like, you literally can do this stuff. Like, your Helldiver is an action figure. It's so fun.
remember me, you, Jake, and Dean kind of playing imaginary shit. Like when you describe that, that's what I envision. It's just like all of a sudden.
That is literally okay. I'm gonna just tell the story briefly. That is actually like what can happen in this game. So we were, me, Taylor, our childhood buddy Jake Barr, and Dean were playing just make believe alien shit in the basement. Where we're shooting at aliens, and this is when we were kids, of course, not like a couple
13 or so. We were like 14, right?
Yeah. No. So yeah, we were just playing make believe in the basement, and we had this like narrative where we're fighting back swarms of bugs that are overtaking us. And at one point dude, it's so funny. This is literally a Helldivers mission where like we're trying to get to the escape ship and we're slowly being overrun by bugs and we're barely managing to escape, cutting them up with swords and shooting them with bombs and shit. And we finally dive onto the couch, which is where we're trying to get to escape. And we're like, holy shit, this planet, there's like billions of bugs overrunning this planet. We got to get out of here. And Dean standing at the couch, like about to get in, he just, oh my God,
don't worry, guys.
I can't remember what he says, but he's like, hold on.
He said, I got this.
I got this. He turns around and just like walks a few steps into the basement, like does a couple stupid like swing around moves with his sword, pretends to like kill some bugs, comes back and he goes, killed them. And like... It was mind-blowing and so fucking funny, and we were like, what the... Like, Dean,
no, you didn't.
Billions of bugs. You can't just go out there and say, killed them. But, like, that's how Helldivers plays out. It's like, you're on the verge of escaping, and some dude can do some badass shit where it's like, you know what, fuck that, I'm calling in a nuke, and he'll call in a nuke and kill them. And, like, it just...
But at the same time... It could also be the guy be like, don't worry, guys, I got
this. And then just like goes and dies.
Blows himself up with a rocket launcher.
That can literally happen. And like, that's the kind of spirit. It's just like childhood make-believe action game that you kill bugs and bots and aliens. And like, it's just, the spirit of this game is perfect. And it's so much fun. And you wrap all of that around an actually good, engaging, super fun gameplay package where there's a high skill ceiling. Like, you can actually become very good at the game if you understand the nuance and how enemies operate and what you can get away with. And like, it's so good. And anyone who wants to play a third person shooter where you just kill bugs and bots. And again, there's 12 difficulties. So if it's too hard for you, just go to difficulty 2 or 3 and like, you'll have a way better time. And then as you get better at that and you start like realizing, oh, this is actually becoming kind of trivial, you can slowly introduce yourself to harder mechanics. Like, certain enemies don't even show up until later difficulties. So you will have never seen a charger until you get to difficulty 4, where the like heavily armored enemies start to spawn. Like, it's a beautiful game. It's so perfectly made. Now that Arrowhead got their head on straight and realized like we just want to have fun, they are on an amazing track to make like pretty much one of the best games ever made, really, just in terms of like enjoyment.
And honestly, I saw you buy it whenever you did years ago, and I saw you play it here and there. I was like, I wonder if Kyle likes this. I had no idea that it had like really kind of sold you on the whole thing. It's just so silly and fun and well done, and I love it. And I highly recommend it to everybody. Even people who don't like shooters like you, I think you could find a way to have fun in this game, especially because like you don't need good aim when you have a flamethrower or an arc blaster or, you know, a grenade launcher. Like you can also, because of the way the game works, like circumvent your shortcomings as a player and do different things. Like you can be a specialized medic dude who just like stims people and has like support stratagems. Like, you can just play the game in so many different ways. It's just so good. It's so good. Oh, dang. Well, okay. Helldivers 2 is a big stamp of approval from someone who does not approval stamp many things.
Correct.
So, okay. Well, that was another episode of the Apocalypse Pod Opcast. Tried to really, flip some words around.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Is that good or what?
It's a really good ending.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. If you're still here,
They're not.
Okay. Well, then I'll say goodbye to the ghosts. Bye, ghosts.
Bye.